All of these JBL speakers have an IP67 rating, which means they are waterproof down to 3 feet for up to 30 minutes. So if you're trying to make a buying decision, that's the same across the board. They are all extremely durable except for the JBL Pulse 5 because of the acrylic finish. I'm going to run you through the main differences between these speakers and some of their new speakers so you can make the better buy. Now, the main differences are going to be the price, the battery life, the audio volume, and the audio quality, and then there are some little connected features in between them that might be worth considering, but those are the main ones. So let's start with the cheapest and work our way up. The cheapest one is going to be the JBL Go 3. I'm not going to name any prices because they're always fluctuating. This one is going to give you 5 hours of battery life, and overall, it's not as durable as the other ones. These little rubber things pick off. The USB-C is fine to plug into, and then they've got the basic volume up and down controls. Because this is the cheapest, I think it's the best for like a gift for a kid or to buy in bulk if you're doing something like that. One word of caution is that if you plug it in after it's been wet and it hasn't thoroughly dried, you will fry it. I destroyed this one doing that, so just be aware of that. The Bluetooth connectivity and everything is fine. The sound quality on this one is pretty light, but it certainly works as like a tiny little area speaker, so that's what I would say. The next one is going to be the JBL Go 4. This is a much improved version of the Go series. I really like the back here. It's got this nice little grippy stuff. This one has a 7-hour battery life with the option to kind of boost it a little bit if you change some of the settings. You've got same playback controls and the other stuff on the side here, but this one comes with the AuraCast feature, which allows you to connect the JBL speakers to each other to create like a surround sound experience, and you can connect a lot of these speakers together. So if you're someone that's been thinking about it, I really like the Go 4. It's a little bit more expensive than the Go 3, but it is the cheapest of the speakers, and I do think that it's worth the upgrade. And that's what I would say about the Go 4. I also love the way they did this bottom section here. So overall, a much improved upgrade, and they come with a ton of fun colors. The next up is going to be the Clip 5. All right. Now this one is obviously very different in form factor. It comes in with a ton of different colors. It has a 7-hour battery life that can be boosted, a 12-hour battery life, and you can kind of modify that a little bit depending on how you run the volume. It's got the same playback controls right here, and then we have the other settings on the side here, and it has the Aura Boost feature. Obviously, the main difference with this one is going to be the clip, so the fact that you can easily clip this to a bag or a bike or like the fence or even tents and stuff like that makes it really nice. They upgraded the grippy stuff on the back of this one as well, which I really like, and that's going to be the main thing with this one. Again, a little bit more expensive than the Go 4, but I do think the audio quality and the volume on this one is worth the upgrade over the Go 4. If you were trying to decide between these two, whatever the price difference is, I would probably go with this one unless you just really like how much smaller that one is. And that would be my final thoughts on that one. Again, still a really nice speaker, but I definitely prefer the Clip 5 over the Go 4. The next one is going to be the Flip 6. All right, this one I absolutely love because of the form factor. This is basically the size of a can, so it's really easy to drop in a cup holder, to throw in a bag. I love the little lanyard here. You can connect a little carabiner to it, just like I have on this one, and that works really well. So I have been extremely happy with the Flip 6. It has a 12 to 13 hour battery life, again, depending on how hard you push it. And overall, really nice. I love the colors of this one, but they recently upgraded this to the Flip 7. And I do think that the upgrades on that one are worth seriously considering, because this one uses the old technology of the Party Boost feature to connect multiple speakers. So if you are considering getting multiple speakers, I do think it would be worth looking at that Flip 7. The other thing that they've done with the Flip 7 is given you extra battery life. It's about 16 hours of playback, which is pretty nice to get that extra 4 hours, just not to have to worry about it for an all-day battery life. And they've added an AI chip to the Flip 7, which is supposed to improve the sound quality overall when it's obviously pumping out the music. So just something to consider there if you are thinking about getting the Flip 6. Maybe consider the Flip 7, but because the Flip 7 is out, you can get these at a nice discount sometimes. Now, pricing-wise between these next two is pretty close depending on when you buy them. This one right now is on some good sales, but this is the Pulse 5. It has some nice volume, some nice sound quality. One of the negatives with this one is that you have to use the phone to control all of the settings, with the exception of turning it on, the Bluetooth, and then the lights. You can do the boost, Party Boost link with this one as well. So you can see how I can switch through the colors here. There is a lot of customization that you can do with this one, with the colors, especially in the app, but you cannot do any sort of playback control here. And my daughter knocked it over when we were hanging out at like a light show. We were watching lights at Christmas. It was like this parade, and she knocked it over onto the cement, and it's got all these little dings in it. So not a huge deal. Obviously, it still works, but I would have liked, I don't know, maybe to avoid that experience. So this one does have about a 10 to 12 hour battery life, depending on how much you use the lighting. And then you do have the controls of lighting down here as well. So a lot of fun stuff. Main features of this one is obviously the lights, and I do love the ambiance that you can create with this one, especially in our house, small environment, or just like sitting outside around, you know, a little table on a patio or something like that. I do think this adds some nice features to it, but that's just if you want the lighting. This one can be the most expensive depending on when you buy. And then we have the Charge 5 right here. So they have released the Charge 6, just so you know, if you're thinking about getting this one. It does mean that this is now at a discounted price, which is nice. This has a 20-hour battery life. It also has reverse charging, so you can charge your device from the Charge 5, which is nice. I like that. It's got the USB-C, and then it's got the Party Boost feature. So that's one of the negatives, I will say, is that if you're thinking about getting the Charge 5, I would seriously consider the Charge 6. It is definitely a big upgrade. You've got an AI chip in there. You've got actually 28 hours of battery life, which is kind of crazy. They've given it some other nice features, and the look of the aesthetic is more like the Extreme 4, which they've just come out with. So that's kind of a quick run through of the main JBL speakers that I have had and used throughout the last couple of years. They are just very different. And so if I was to summarize it, because I have so many of them, I basically never touch the Go 3s. They just sit. This one I will sometimes grab and go, but for the most part I leave this one alone as well. These ones I have connected all over my bike. I have a Derwent electric bike, and so I clip these on actually 3 different places on the bike, up on the handlebars, just behind me, and then behind I have a kid seat that my kid sits on, so I clip them there. I really like how easy it is to move these around if we're just like going to the beach. One time we went out on this pontoon boat tour, and like because I have these, they can do this Aura Boost feature where they can all connect to each other. I connected all of these to each other, clipped them around the boat, and we had this really nice surround sound experience. It's actually called Auracast, my bad. So I love the Auracast feature of the Clip 5s, and that's obviously part of the Flip 7s and the Charge 6 if you're thinking about getting those. And then I will say, like, if you don't want to spend a ton of money, but you want a better sound quality, the sound quality of the Flip 6 is definitely better than the Clip 5, all right? But it's not as full as the Charge 5. So that's something that you have to consider at that point. The only reason I would ever get the Pulse 5 is if you really want those lights. That's the only reason. There is no other reason to get this speaker. So if you're trying to decide between the Flip 6 and the Charge 5, the 20-hour battery life versus the 12-hour battery life is something that's worth considering. Plus, I really like this form factor for grab and go. It's just nice to be able to drop in a bag and just set in a cup holder or whatever. That's been something that I've really appreciated. The Charge 5 is just a little bit more beefy. It's kind of so beefy that you can't just like one-hand it. You really, I mean, you can, but what I say is it's a little bit heavier than maybe you would want if you're just like out running around. But if you're sitting down by the pool or whatever, it's going to fill up the space. All of these, anything down this middle row is easily going to give you enough volume for wherever you're sitting. If it's just you're just hanging out by yourself and maybe some friends. But if you're trying to get like fill the space, then I really think you need to look at those extreme versions and then maybe consider the connectivity of the other options, because these are great too. So that's what I would say if you're someone that is trying to decide on the JBL speakers. I hope this video really informs you on anything. I have all of the links down below if you want to check it out, and that was the goal of this video. So let's rise with the tide, and I'll see you on the flip side. I hope this video gave you everything you needed to know about trying to make a buying decision on these speakers. I think they are all great in different ways, but obviously moving up towards the premium experience can be better for anyone trying to get higher audio quality. So let's rise with the tide, and I'll see you on the flip side.